Hey YouTube, Simply Breezy here with some more Dungeon Hunter Champions content. Today I've got a guide on gear, focusing primarily on the substats of gear. So what we can do first is just break out the 6 different gear slots that you have for your champions, the gear that you're going to get throughout playing the game. First one being the helmet is always going to be flat attack. The second one being chest pieces will always be flat HP as their primary stat. And then the pendant, the third one, will always be flat defense as its primary stat. Then the other 3 pieces we have are the shoulders, the gauntlets, and the bracers. And these will have a chance to be several different things instead of that one individual stat as opposed to the other 3. They can be flat stats, but they can be percentage stats as well, with the shoulders having a chance to be attack speed percent, movement speed percent, attack percent, HP, and defense percent. The gauntlets having a chance to be attack percent, HP, and defense percent, as well as crit rate and crit damage percent. And then the bracers also have a chance to be attack, HP, and defense percent, as well as resistance and accuracy percent. So each of these 3 can be attack, HP, and defense, as well as 2 of their own individual opportunities. Within these 3 pieces, you always want to keep percent gear, as in you never want to keep flat stat gear that say flat base attack, because attack percent is always going to outscale the amount of statistics that you'll gain from it. It's a better return on investment, essentially. With that being said, there's different types of rarity and star levels of the gear. You can see that this champion has all 6-star gear that is either plus 12 or plus 15. As in leveled up to plus 12 or plus 15. The gear ranges from 1 star to 6 star, with 1 star giving the least amount of statistics and the lowest substats, and 6-star gear giving the highest amount of statistics and the highest percent chance of substats. So if you look at the difference between different helmets that are unleveled, for example, we have a 3-star helm at level 0 has plus 7 attack, a 5-star helm has plus 15 that is unleveled, and a 6-star has plus 22. When you level these up, the statistics increase at a greater ratio the higher the star level. You can see here we have different rarities as well, such as a common gear piece that is colored white at no level has 0 substats. I don't have any uncommon gear to show, but that would be green, and that would have 1 substat. Rare, blue gear, has 2 substats. Epic has 3, and legendary has 4 at no level. Then what happens is, as you roll this gear, you either gain substats or substats increase by a certain amount, depending on the star level of the gear. So for this common gear piece, we can roll this to level 3 and you will see it gain a new substat. It's also going to gain a new one at level 6, level 9, and level 12 as well. And it can be any stat that is not the primary stat of the gear piece. So any helmet that's going to gain a new substat can be anything but flat attack. You can't gain flat attack on a helmet because it has it by default as its primary statistic. If we look at an epic piece, for example, the first 3 rolls, so at plus 3, plus 6, and plus 9, are going to go into one of these 3 statistics randomly, and it's going to be a certain amount based on the range that this star level of that gear piece has. And we'll touch base on 5-star and 6-star gear substat ranges in just a moment. So you can see at plus 3 it gained attack speed percent. At plus 6 it also gains some more attack speed percent. And then at plus 9 it will gain something else. And then at plus 12 it'll fill out that 4th slot and it will gain a new substat by random that could be anything but flat attack. More attack speed. 3 rolls into attack speed, and then we'll have a 4th random substat at plus 12. The rolls might take a little while, but we can try and plus 12 this just so that you guys can see how this works when you roll gear. So if we rolled a rare piece, for example, that's blue, at level 0 and has only 2 substats, At +9, we would have gotten a random one here that may have been resistance %, and then we'd get another at +12 that could be whatever we'll get. Unfortunately, we're not having very good luck upgrading this 5-star epic piece of gear. But we might have it here in a second, and we can see how even at level 11, new stat incoming, we have 3% accuracy. So moving on to the substat ranges, 3% for a 5-star piece of gear is going to be the lowest possible % you can get on a substat, with as high a chance as 7%. So if we look at, oh, we do have an uncommon piece. But if we look at, for example, this 5-star piece of gear, this one, we have 4% accuracy, 6% resistance, and 5% HP. So neither of these are the minimum 3% that it could be, or the maximum 7% though. But the fact that none of them are the minimum is pretty good. Generally, when I decide what gear I'm going to keep, I look for things with statistics that synchronize together, like HP and resistance, or HP and defense, or attack speed and crit rate, or attack speed, attack %, and crit damage, or crit rate and crit damage, right, that will synchronize together well, and also have high % rolls. So for a 6-star piece of gear, the % chances for substats, the minimum will be 4%, and the maximum will be 8%. So this piece also has neither the minimum of a 4% roll or the maximum, but it's got a high move speed % roll and a low crit rate % roll. See if we can find some other things here that haven't been leveled. So a 6-star chess piece has a 6% max HP roll, which is right in the middle, and a maximum crit damage, and then a very high accuracy. So this could be a good piece of gear if it rolls into all crit damage, each on +3, +6, +9, or if it goes into HP and accuracy, either of those two, because those synchronize well in support champions, right? And then as you increase them, the % amount that they can go into is the same as the initial base. So we can either get an additional 4% on any of these or 8% on any of these. And you can see we went from 6 to 13% on the maximum HP, which is a 7% roll at +3. That's pretty good, as it's only 1% off the maximum that it could have been. This is how players minimize and maximize their gear values, by looking for gear with all high substats to start with, and then gear that when you upgrade it, the substats have high rolls and not +4s or +5s, like accuracy just rolled, for example. From 7% to 12% is a 5% increase. Considering it could have gone 6, 7, or 8 is not that good, but it's still a decent piece of gear. And then we'd get one more increase into any of these 3 by chance, preferably for a piece of gear like this is going to go well on a support. So we'd want additional HP. We could even take accuracy for something like a siege tower, or a Xenia, right? But guys, this is the essentials of how gear goes and substats increase, and then the ranges on them. You want to look for as little flat stats as possible, because percents are always going to give you more returns on your overall statistics of your champion than a flat stat is within the substats, right? You can see most of this gear that I keep, very minimal pieces of gear have flat stats. I don't generally keep gear with any flat stats unless it's a legend or a 6-star epic piece that have 2 synchronizing % statistics that I am hoping that they'll roll into, and if they do roll into the flat stats, I'll normally sell it. But this isn't really a guide on what gear to keep and what gear to sell. It's a guide to educate you on gear, main stats, and focus on substats, so you know what rolls are going to be the highest you can get, the maximum or the minimum, so you know what, so you can make more educated guesses on what to keep on your own. But this is it for the guide, guys. I hope you'd enjoyed it. I also have a Reddit post that's going up momentarily with all of this information. If you want to view it, there'll be a link to that in the description as well. Thanks, and I'll see you guys in the next one.